Hi, here's a book I got directly from the publisher. It's called Cowboy Charm School by Margaret Brownley. This was a cute story, actually. Let me start off with the blurb. When Texas Ranger Brett Tucker accidentally derails a wedding, he's determined to bring the estranged couple back together. But he never dreamed that he'd fall for the bride. Texas Ranger Brick Tucker hates to break up a wedding, but the groom, notorious criminal Frank Foster, is a danger to any woman. So he busts into the church, guns blazing, only to find out that he's found the wrong man. Stop that wedding! Well, that's how the blurb reads, all caps and in bold, so that's how I read it. Bride to be Kate Denver is appalled by her fiance's over the top reaction to the innocent mistake and calls off the wedding for good. Guilt-ridden Brett's desperate to get them back on track. But the more time he spends with Kate, the harder he falls, and the more he yearns to prove that he is her true match in every way. That is the blurb. Now, my thoughts were a little bit kind of extensive in this because I kind of like this. Now, Brett Tucker, he's doing his darndest to display altruistic behavior. He's a Texas Ranger and he manages to interrupt a wedding because he thought he caught his man, who was a guy called Frank Foster. However, it's the wrong Frank Foster, but it's too late because now he's disrupted what was to be a gorgeous wedding. It's nearly ruined, and so he approaches the bride-to-be and he apologizes to her. Well, the groom-to-be is an insanely jealous man who takes one look at the way that this Texas Ranger is speaking to his about-to-be wife, and he goes off the deep end and starts punching the guy, and then a big fight breaks out, all heck breaks out, and the wedding is gone. It's off. Well, this was the last straw. The bride-to-be, Kate, she has dealt with her fiance's jealous behavior for years. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. So she calls off the wedding. That's it. It's over. I'm done. Well, of course, Brett, the ranger, he feels so guilty. He knows it's all of his fault, or he feels it's all his fault. He's in town for a while because he's still looking for this other Frank Foster. So while he's there, he makes it his aim to put this couple back together. Right here, I started thinking of Cyrano de I knew I was not going to pronounce that right. Let me try this again. I started thinking about Cyrano de Bergerac. Did I say it right? I hope I did. Who doesn't think of that story when you think about a guy who is going to coach somebody on how to get his woman back? Now, when he tries to coach this guy, the first thing that Brett discovers is Frank has not a romantic bone in his body. As a matter of fact, when Brett approaches Frank, he says, "Hey, why don't you get the girl some flowers? Start off with flowers." And Frank goes, "Oh, I could never buy her flowers. Why don't I buy her a jack for her tires? She's always breaking her tires." I didn't understand what that meant at first, but then I had to go back to the first page real quick and find out that it took place almost a century ago. So therefore, they were still using wheel tires. So that was kind of cute right there. So he offers to buy this girl a jack. Okay, that's a good makeup gift. Obviously, I realized the story was going to have humor to it. Well, Brett decides to help him come up with the perfect makeup gift, the perfect makeup poems, the quotes, the dancing, and so forth and so on. The problem is, the more Brett is coaching Frank, the more Brett realizes that he likes Kate. Kate, on the other hand, is like, who is this guy? Who is this Frank? Where is he coming up with all this romantic stuff from, and the cutesy flowers and the things that he's bringing to her? So she is devoted to trying to work things out with Frank. Now, I will say that Cowboy Charm School, it's a warm, sweet, and delightful love story. It's completely innocent for those who like innocent stories. Uh, there's a lot of humor in it. Poor Frank, he had allergies from here to the end of the world. One of these allergies is something that is really cute. Is Kate loved animals. She saved and had just about every animal there is. So anytime Frank was in close contact with Kate, what would happen? Hives, allergies, sneezing, the whole 9 yards. So that was humorous. I really kind of enjoyed that. I will say, poor Frank. Maybe he'll get a story if this series continues because it is the first in a series called Haywire Bride. So maybe Frank will, I don't know. But nonetheless, you can imagine who end up together. No, it's not Kate and Frank. But that's not a spoiler. You can see that even just by looking at the cover. Yes, it's Texas Ranger. Yes, it's a love story. Um, Also, what was interesting about the story is it took place in the late 1800s, and Kate was a candy maker. She had a candy shop. I thought that was an admirable profession to have back in those days. So I really liked the story. I did read it in one sitting. I only gave it 4 stars. I mean, it's the first in a series. I haven't read the author before, so I basically just gave it 4 stars. So that's about it. As I mentioned, it's called Cowboy Charm School by Margaret Brownley. It was delightfully received from me as I got it from the publisher for an honest review, which I was able to give it. I will link the book below, and as I do, I will say that as an Amazon associate, if you should purchase the book, uh, I will make a few pennies that go towards future books because what else do I buy basically is books and coloring supplies. Nonetheless, it will not cost you anything further should you decide to give the book a shot. As I briefly mentioned, it is the first in what's called the Haywire Brides. So it's a new series that's started by Margaret Brownley. I apologize. I do look forward to continuing with the series, whether I get it directly from the publisher or NetGalley or even buy the book myself. I will continue with the series. I highly recommend it. Okay, thank you. Have a great one. Bye.